Flight boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You know, listen to the mind of Terry's Moon, Flight boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucking responsibilities. And right now, I want to talk about Mars through the houses. Now, with Mars through the houses, Mars, like I said, going through Mars through the signs, you have to make sure you know what house is in, because this is going to be the area of life that is planned out in. So, like I said before, Mars is your intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires. So, and your alternative motives. So the house that it plays out in is either going to be played out through you or someone else. So, you know, you're going to experience this energy whether you're on one opposite end of the stick or the other. It doesn't matter. You're going to experience it. But most of the time when the planets are in the house, that's most of the time the energy that you kind of push out. Just the actual sign being in that house a lot of times is just the energy that you're going to receive and push out subconsciously, whether it's from you or another person, place, or thing outside of you. But yeah, but most of the time, you know, the planets can play out either or, but for the most part, the planet is going to be more what you push out. But like I said, a lot of times it's still just going to be the energy that you manifest in your life also. There's always going to be a polar opposite in the law of attraction. So when we talk about Mars, let's start off with the first house. Mars going to love to be in the 1st, 8th, and the 10th house. Mars going to hate being in the 2nd, 7th, and the and hold on, did I get the 2nd, 7th, and the motherfucking 4th house. So Mars don't like to be in those houses, the 2nd, 4th, and the 7th, but it loves to be in the 1st, the 10th, and the 8th. So I'm gonna break that down once we get to those actual houses. Now the first house, like I said, it loves to be here. So this is a person who can take their intent, willpower, passion, motivations, and desires and apply it to their personality, personal issues, and affairs. Now personal affairs could be the personal people, places, and things that's in your life. Or in your personal issues is things that you're dealing with as far as insecurities or things that you know you have to handle in your personal life that everyone else may not be aware of. And then, you know, your personality, how it's constructed. Now with Mars being here, Mars loves to be here because this makes a person's personality passionate, inspiring, because they are motivated to others, you know, and this is a person who likes to personally go and attack their personal issues and affairs. So they're not necessarily absorbed into other people's personalities or other people's lives, other people's personal issues, other people's personal affairs. They more like to go and attack their own issues and affairs. Therefore, if they are going to throw a rock at a glass house, their house may not be glass also. You see what I'm saying? So this will help. This Mars loves to be in the first house because it gets to help a person take care of their own personal self to the point that they don't have to look for examples or be scared or be scared to curate their own personality in any way, shape, or form. Now Mars not going to like to be in the second house because all of its intent, willpower, passion, motivations, and desires is going towards values and having to and when you talk about values, you value people, places, and things in your life, right? So the people that you value could be your family, your friends, and things of that nature. But what happens when they tie up your goals, your desires, your passions, your motivations, your desires, your alternative motives, which is aka Mars? And then when you have Mars in the second house, 9 times out of 10, the people, places, and things, aka the people that you value, end up having their own alternative motives from you in that area. So, you know what I'm saying? It could play out very tricky a lot of times. This is why Mars don't like to be here. Mars have to trust people, places, and things that it doesn't like to trust. Has to go through certain experiences and scenarios that it doesn't actually has to be in. And it has to value certain things that it doesn't necessarily feel like it should be even valuing in the first place. So, you know, it could become very aggressive, very negative in the second house. You could become very possessive when you have Mars in the second house. But for the most part, you are going to be the type of person who kind of show what you have to offer to the world, whether people like it or not. You're going to show what you have to offer to the world, whether it's creatively, business wise, idea wise, you know what I'm saying, or just an attitude. You're going to show what you have to offer to the world. So for the most part, if you're a female and your panties in a bunch, or if you're a male and you're letting your nuts hang, with Mars in the second house, that will be expressed. Now for the most part, when you got Mars in the third house, this is bringing a lot of intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires to your surroundings. So there may be something that you aggressively want to do, or something that you passionately want to do in your surroundings. But there may be something in your surroundings that you're familiar with, based upon a person, place, or thing, that may even play as a hindrance or a blockage to a certain degree. And sometimes you may have to forcefully or aggressively fight your way out of your neighborhood or your circumstance or your surroundings in some way, shape, or form in order for you to reach your goals. So you know, this kind of like life story path play out through Mars in the third house. Always kind of like a hero story. You kind of get placed amongst a bunch of people, places, and things that play as obstacles, whether in a high vibrational way or a low vibrational way. And what I mean by that, a high vibrational way, as actually physical action and physical, you may fight a lot in your neighborhood and go through a lot of disagreements and things of that nature. Or low vibrational wise, it may be certain hindrance based upon people, places, and things that you are around that never kind of let you be free within your close proximities in your neighborhood and things of that nature. So with Mars being in the third house, you know, this could bring a lot of those energies, and the energies you give off a lot of times create those scenarios just to play out through you, just for you to create scenarios for you to be opposing in, or to be you know what I'm saying, negligent in, and things of that nature, just for it to create scenarios to get you out of that rut. So, you know, it could play as a gift and a curse. You know, you may hurt a lot of people, but it may be a gift in disguise type of scenario. For an example, with a Mars in the third house, this will play out as, you know, you may be into a certain business where your job may allow you to be somewhere else, not in your close proximity. So you may have to leave family and things of that nature. But you may really need that job, so you may have to fight through your family. You may have to tell your if you are a man, you may have to tell your wife and your kids that, look, we have to move to New Jersey, or we have to move to Washington. I know you like all your friends and family here, but we just have to move here for 6 months because this job gonna be paying me this much, but I have to be in DC for right now. So we have to, you know what I'm saying? So that might be a struggle and a fight. So because you have to, you see, Mars, wherever Mars is at, it kind of plays the taking away energy. Venus kind of gives the give. Jupiter gives a mental give in a higher realm, but Mars kind of plays the take energy. So it'll play out in those kind of scenarios. You see what I'm saying? Now, Mars in the fourth house. Mars don't like to be here at all, because now when Mars want to go out and go work and get all these hours, and you know, don't even really care about relaxing, it has to actually care about home. So Mars can't just care about the foundation or care about the bread, being a breadwinner. It has to actually care about the pipes leaking, and care about fixing the sinks, and it has to actually care about the home and private and domestic issues, and you know what I'm saying, gaining emotional stability amongst itself. So you know, this slows Mars down. Mars like to be outside and working in the yard and getting on the clock and clocking in at work. But this is Mars. This is like Mars on his off day. Mars is like sleep in the fourth house. It's like fall here. So it's like Mars on his off day. Mars like to be out and wandering. You mean to tell me I gotta chill out in the crib and deal with family and in close proximities and shit like that? And you know what I'm saying? So this will frustrate Mars a little bit. So this will become negative. You know what I'm saying? This will become, so a person with Mars in the fourth house, they may bring a lot of negative energies from their workplace to the home place. Or this may be a person who likes to and based upon your planetary alignments, it could do a complete 360. You could be the type of person who take all your passions and desires just to work on connecting home or connect family. But it's always going to play negative, because anytime a planet's still detriment, is, regardless of how much good you think you're doing, it's still going to play out negative in some way, shape, or form. Because all your passion and desire may go towards fixing home and helping domestic and private issues and you know what I'm saying, and emotional stability. The negative way it may play out for you is your family members may think you in their business too much. You trying to correlate and control too much of the private issues. You think you in control of all the domestic issues. You think you can control everybody's relationship. You think you can call everybody on the phone and tell everybody about themselves, but there's nothing wrong with you. You end up being that type of family member and shit like that. So you have to be careful with Mars in the fourth house, because your workings of thinking that you're doing good could end up being can create scenarios where people aggressively attack you because they think you're going too far into those realms of realities that I was just explaining. You see what I'm saying? Where you calling family member too, you calling them and shit, making them feel bad like they did something wrong and shit like that, and like you the uppity up but a family or something like that, and things of that nature. See with Mars in the fourth house, that'll happen. So you gotta chill out. So if you got a person who probably got Mars in the fourth house, and they carrying out these, or if a person carrying out these attributes in your life, they probably got Mars in the fourth house. You probably got the family member, they think they uppity up and things of that nature, and you ain't shit or things of that nature. They probably got Mars in the fourth house. You know what I'm saying? They just willing to take what you got or things of that nature, like you ain't shit. But for the most part, let's go to Mars in the fifth house. Now Mars in the fifth house, this is a person that got intent, willpower, passion, motivations, and desires to express their creative attributes, their creative mechanism, also to create the way they, also to express the way they express themselves in general. So these people may be very entertaining, very passionate about the things that they're entertained by. So they can become comedians and a lot of things. But a lot of times with Mars in the fifth house, you people could become full of yourselves. Because you ever met a person who like to express their creativity but go too far with it? A person who like, they're kind of funny, but once you laugh at one joke, here come 100 more jokes. You see what I'm saying? That's not even that funny. Then the first one wasn't even that funny. You was just laughing because you wasn't even trying to make them feel bad. That's Mars in the fifth house. Now a lot of them can, after they go through so many of those experiences, they actually become funny and shit like that, or become creative. But a lot of times it starts off like that, on that level. So you have to pay very close attention to that energy for my Mars and fifth house people out there. But for a lot of times you're fixated on your creativity. You're fixated, you're passionately and involved into the way you express yourself and the things that you're creatively into and the things you're entertained by and how you choose to entertain how you choose to entertain others. So you're definitely into that, and you're going to use all your passion. And anytime somebody play the shape and form as an obstacle and blocking your creativity or blocking your creative expression or blocking your form of entertainment in any way, shape, or form, will become a very dramatic moment for that person, because you're gonna jump into your very dramatic acting or actress moments in your life, and you're gonna be the best actor or actress ever, and you may even scare the person. Whether you create a scary movie for them or a funny movie for them, you may make them laugh, or you create a romance movie for them, you make them fall in love, or you know how to do all this shit. You just have to make sure you slow down and don't create sequels and Trinity movies and then the motherfucker the trilogies, and then motherfucking then the motherfucking movie. Nobody want to watch that movie no more because now it seems stupid. You got to get a whole new cast, and you see what I'm saying? Chill with all the artistic shit. You know what I'm saying? Now, Mars in the sixth house. Now, with Mars being in the sixth house, this is your intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires. So, you know, for the most part, well, as far as Mars, but the sixth house is your scheduling. I'll be getting when I start talking a lot, but for the most part, sixth house is what you're working on, routine, scheduling. You know, things that you're, whether the people, places, or things involved, it doesn't matter. But these things that you're willing to criticize and look at the details of, even if it's on yourself. You know, a lot of people who got a lot of planets in the sixth house or signs, or a lot of planets in Virgo, a lot of times feel like they have to criticize and work on themselves and look at their own details. And a lot of times they take instances from other people's and how other people make things work for themselves. You know, bring it to a broad conclusion on how to make it work in general. And, you know, they get things going. But for the most part, with Mars being in the sixth house, you know, all your passions, intent, willpower, motivations, and desires go towards whatever you're working on, or your work in general, your health, your scheduling, your tasks, things that you do on a day-to-day routine, on a day-to-day basis. And as far as criticizing and looking at the details, all of your passions go towards that. So let somebody do one thing wrong. Let it not even be all the way wrong. Let it just be a half inch, a shade wrong. You're going to put in your 2 cents. So you have to be careful that you're not doing that for all my Mars in the sixth house. That you're not putting your 2 cents in every specific thing. Sometimes you have to let people have something to themselves. You got to let them have something of theirs. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times people push off certain push off certain and portray certain things based upon their ego and what they are in. And just because you can see that don't necessarily mean you need to let them know that you see that, because that'll tear down a person's ego or make a person feel like, dang, whatever they're doing is worthless. So a lot of times you got to let people have things. You might be watching Archangel Uriel video and think you can see everything in a person, so you start describing your best friends, and now you done burnt their soul. You thinking you describing them because you watch Archangel Uriel, and you thinking you proving to them that you smart, but really in their mind they like, damn, I can't even hide nothing. All right, this person to see through me. You burnt their soul alive. So it's like they're gonna start feeling like they can't even really be around you like that, because they can't be loose around you, because they know that anything that they do is dumb, or any time that they was lying to themselves, they know that you are aware of it. So it's a sense of their spirit not even being free in a lostness a type of way. So it's kind of like a hindrance. It's if you know the spirit, you know what I'm talking about. But for the most part, sometimes you just gotta let people have what they have. So when Mars in the 6th house, you got to understand that. Just don't sit here and criticize every little detail. You got to put in your head that a person can't be that goddamn dumb. You know, this makes sense out of it. You know, a person know that what they doing wrong. See, some people just refuse to show the signs to others based upon their ego or whatever like that. But everybody know when they wrong or know when they ain't right. It's just with Mars in the 6th house, you got to be the person to understand when you're around a person who actually know that, and you don't need to keep rubbing that in their face because they know that. It's just they just don't want to keep hearing it. You see what I'm saying? So it can play out in a lot of different ways and shit like that. Now when we talk about as far as Mars in the 7th house. Now Mars don't like to be here at all, because Mars, Mars like I said, it's intent, willpower, passion, motivation, and desires. So it has to sit here and worry about its relationships and how it relate. Mars is not even relatable. So now Mars got to take its intent, willpower, passions, and motivations to be some form relatable. You mean to tell me I got to slow down what the fuck I'm getting ready to do, what I woke up in the morning and decide to do, just because you slept too long? You know what I'm saying? It'll be in every scenario. Church going people, Mars in the 7th house. Goddamn, you mean to tell me I gotta wake up and miss hours of church because your ass won't get up, and I gotta wait for you to get up out the goddamn shower and this, that, and the third? So it'll play out in a bunch of different scenarios when you talk about Mars being in the 7th house. But for the most part, a lot of your intentions, willpower, passions, and motivations do go towards your relationships, and it do go towards how you relate to people, places, and things. So you make this part of your passions. You make this part of your desire. So a lot of times this would turn people on. A lot of times they're like, okay, this person really reaching out. This person really want to make things right. This person really about balance. But see, with the Mars here, it's always going to play out negative, like I said, because it's still a detriment. After a while, it becomes overwhelming, too much, to the point that it become overbearing to others. They're like, okay, this person got some type of alternative motives. They're too much, trying to, almost to the point that they're controlling, to the point that with Mars in 7th house, you will try to control your relationships in some way, shape, or form. It'll go so deep, you will try to control how others relate to you. And you would get upset that another person not relating to you in a way that you see fit and you wanted them to relate to you. So it goes deep, and you put yourself into a lot of fights, a lot of negative energies, and a lot of things. Even if you got a lot of other natal alignments that make you a very passive person, with Mars in the 7th house, it'll still manifest these type of attributes. Now, but the positive of it is, like I said previously, at least your desires is up front in the first place, is to bring things together. You just have to make sure you don't get lost into that. Now, you got Mars in the 8th house. Mars loves to be here because it gets to take its intent, willpower, passion, motivations, and desires and force it towards transformation. It's power and control over its own motivations, its own alternative motives, its own way of seeing things, its own behind the scenes realm. So anything that's dealing with your own behind the scenes realm is your own dirt, it's your own closet, it's your own internal, it's your own emotional state, it's your own emotional your vibrational state that you want to gain control over in order to make yourself ready for whatever you want to manifest in your life, so you don't experience nothing that you could be afraid of, or something that you are or something that you clean into as far as a pleasure. You're not getting lost in either or. You're actually able to transform and align yourself in whatever vibration to align yourself in order to get your desires out of that. So Mars loves being here because it gets to correlate more to itself, and it doesn't have to relate like if it was in the 4th house, 2nd house, or the 7th house. See, notice how in those houses Mars had to relate in some way, shape, or form. So that's how we was able to break down why it doesn't like to be there. Then when it's in the first, now when it's in the first, the 8th, and the 10th house, I'm gonna break down how it likes to be there because it gets to more go based upon its own energy, and then it could be as an example that others can follow, whether it was right or wrong, but it could be some form of an example. Now, you know, in the 1st house is dealing with forms of personality, personal issues, and affairs. 8th house is dealing with your own desires and your own power and control. Therefore, you're not trying to power and control and rule over others. You're more concerned about your own power and control and how you can rule over your own circumstances and situations. So anyone who chooses to make themselves part of your circumstance and situation, they either choose to be ruled over, or we could come to some type of shared value or some type of shared agreement. If not, then we need to kind of detach from each other. So that's kind of how Mars kind of play out in the 8th house right here. You kind of understand the behind the scenes realm, and it kind of understand how to kind of bring things to the surface before it get out of hand and go into chaos mode. Now, when we talk about Mars in the 9th house, this is a person who take all their intent, willpower, passion, motivations, and desires and gear towards their education, gear towards their philosophy, or their broad philosophical points of views of looking at the world, spirituality, and God. Also, just put people in a scenario where they're in circumstances and situations where they go through a lot of aggressive experiences, because 9th house also brings experiences. So, you know, with Mars here, it's going to take away. So you're going to experience a lot of others experience things that you always want to experience, but you can't experience it yourself, and that's going to manifest you into experience a lot of harsh or aggressive experiences yourself, to the point that these are the only experiences you're able to extract wisdom and knowledge and meanings from. So even when it come to education, it could play out as in you always getting something wrong, or you always wanting to pass the quiz or the spelling test, and you always lose, so you always fight, since you like the second most smartest person in the class, but there's always somebody more smarter than you and things of that nature. So it always becomes a competition in this area. You always look for the people of that nature and things. You see, Mars can play out in so many different scenarios in the 9th house. This is where you even get your aggressive teachers at. Teachers who may bring guns to school. They may have Mars in the 9th house. See, this is why it's important for the school system to understand astrology, because you know, a lot of teachers who probably bring guns into the classroom and things of that nature probably got Mars in the 9th house. You know, Mars going to always play a take away type of nature. So it'll take a goddamn classroom away real fast. Now, Mars in the 10th house, it loves to be here, but it can overexhaust itself. Now, Mars is going to make sure it takes its intent, alternative motive, passion, desires, and its goals and things that it passionately want to do, and make sure that these things that it passionately want to do is creating some type of status in its life, some type of stability, some type of work, some type of being known, some type of being seen in some type of way. So Mars is where it wants to be here. It's like at Disneyland here. You mean to tell me I can go out and do anything I want to do in my imagination and go full out and not think about anybody else, and actually be seen, actually get popular for that? Actually be a status for that, actually have other people follow those same footsteps and create a business off that? You mean what? Shit, Mars is that motherfucker sitting in the motherfucking one of those chairs that they can spin all the way around in, like the motherfucking boss on the last level of every motherfucking video game, motherfucker, for real. Nigga, ain't no motherfucking joke when Mars is in motherfucking the 10th house. Now, like I said, you could lose yourself into that, because like how you lose yourself is if you never left that motherfucking seat, your ass never went home and enjoyed your family. You know what I'm saying? Because all your hours went to that motherfucking seat that you kept spinning around giving orders to other people in. So that's how you can get lost with the Mars in the 10th house. Don't get lost into your business. Make sure you correlating some time for what you're doing your business for, which is your family or your support system and things of that nature. And don't have these people dry and things of that nature, because your wife will start cheating. Or on the flip side, if you are the female and you are the breadwinner of the house and you got this status, the man, he's going to become jealous because you're known and seen as the person that's whipped in the house. So he's going to be acting all stupid and shit of that nature. He ain't going to be giving you no act right. So off the back, it's going to create bad sex and shit like that. So, you know, on either side, it doesn't matter. When we talking about the motherfucking Mars in the 10th house, y'all motherfuckers need to calm y'all workaholic ass down. You know what I'm saying? Everything ain't about a motherfucking dollar. But like I said, when we talk about this earth realm and earth elements, it kind of is. This kind of is about the physical. But, you know, for the most part, I'm just trying to get y'all on the spiritual enlightenment also. You know? But like, alright, Mars in the 11th house. Now, this is a person that is going to curate a lot of your intent, willpower, passions, and motivations, and your desires is going to want to be a part of something. Want to be a part of something that's outside of you, or want to be a part of your family as a group, or associate, or your social group, or your or even a job, or even something that's new, that's just brought up, that just brought upon a new app or a new job, or something that's unique in the individual. You want to make yourself a part of it. You want to, so you can have information about it, so you can socialize about it, so you can talk about it, and things of that nature. So that's how this will play out when you got Mars in the 11th house. Now, this could put you in a lot of tricky situations, because just based upon people trying to stop you from going out. For an example, if you are a young person who got Mars in the 11th house, you may have a lot of elders, or you may even have your parents telling you, stop being around all your friends. All your friends ain't your friends. And with Mars in Aquarius, you're going to look at everybody the same. You're going to be like, nah, everybody the same. Until you start going through experience where you have one friend that's a thief, one friend that ain't even really your friend like that, another friend that is your friend, but kind of weird, and then you just got this using ass friend. Then you're gonna start being able to decipher, and then that's gonna help how you conduct yourself in the public arena as you get older. But that's all dealing with the 11th house. But when you have Mars here, see, the person who tell you that don't be trusting everybody or don't be letting everybody in your house, you're gonna look at them as a form of a blockage or hindering or stopping you from some form of experience. So you're going to kind of resist them and manifest even more scenarios in your life where you have to learn the hard way that everybody ain't really for you. So that's how this play out with Mars in the 11th house. So you have to be very careful with Mars in the 11th house, because, you know, you can't even trust family like that. You things, and even friends and things of that nature. So, but Mars in the 11th house will remind you of that if you are in any form of lostness. And then you're going to find yourself looking at the people who was telling you that in the first place like, damn, they was right, but I just needed to see that I had to see it for myself. You'll develop that hard mentality, that tough love type of mentality, to the point that you'll always respect the people who told you that, but you always is hardened in your life now from the experiences that you went through. So now you fucked up in the head lightweight a little bit. You see what I'm saying? So it can play out in a lot of deep scenarios with Mars in the 11th house. But for the positive though, right, you are a person who make this part of your desire, make this part of your passion, and bring things together. You actually become the leader of a bunch of social groups and things of that nature. You become the social leader aspect of what's actually going on in your surroundings on a broad level, especially when it comes to new things and technology and stuff like that, and gadgets, and utilize and socially connecting and things of that nature. Now when you got Mars into the 12th house, now this makes a person who like to take a lot of you may subconsciously be aggressive. You may subconsciously be into your passions and desires. And you may daydream all day about your passions and desires and motivations and things of that nature. So you're always in your subconscious realm, but you aggressively go there. So you know what I'm saying? A lot of times you may forcefully put yourself in there. A lot of people may have to force you out of certain illusions that you may have. You may have a certain dream that you shot too far in, and people have to snap you out of that aggressively, even to the point they have to fight you out of that. Like, look man, stop doing that, stop getting around these people, stop being around that. They have to punch you in your face and tie you down and stuff like that for you to stop doing certain things that's in your imagination and your dreams. So you know, with Mars in the 12th house, you might create scenarios in your life like that. But With Mars in the 12th house in general, a lot of your desires, passion, motivations, and things that you want to do is curated around the subconscious realm. So things that you already subconsciously do. So how you already subconsciously act is going to be the sign that's there. But Mars here is how it's modified. You're going to do that aggressively, or that is going to be part of your intent, willpower, passions, motivations, and desires to do those things, to do your sign in the 12th house. You see what I'm saying? So, you know, sticky, icky. So, you know, for the most part, when you got Mars in the 12th house, the positive is that your imagination, dreams, illusions, and your spirituality is going to be part of your desires, part of something that you're passionately into. The bad part about it is people may look at you as that's a form of an illusion, or that's a form of you being lost, or you never taking shape, making these things a shape and form, never making these things a reality. You always talk about it, you always drawn about it, but you never do anything to make it reality in your life. So be careful of that also. Mars can play out like that, but you know, it's a lot of different ways and scenarios. But that's Mars through the houses. Flight bus, bitch, goddamn air.